morning children, I hope you all are safe and fine at home. So today we are going to revise the third chapter of your history, that is agrarian structure under the British. In this chapter you have learned about the different type of settlements which were introduced by the British Governor General. Okay, so today we are going to revise this chapter. In this chapter today also again we will discuss the 1 mark questions, 3 mark questions and 5 mark questions. So before that I hope yesterday I gave you some instructions to write the bit number and question number correctly. Please keep in mind and do as well. So let's revise with the first question. That is very short answer that question, which will be asked for 1 mark. Okay. So first question is, who introduced the Roy Quarry settlement? This was a settlement which was introduced by Thomas Munro. Okay. So answer is Thomas Munro introduced the Roy Quarry settlement. Okay, this is about the Roy Quarry settlement. Next is, what is indigo? Yes, indigo is a plant which grows in the tropical region. It produced a rich blue color which was used by the cloth manufacturers to dye the cloth. It is very important. And even along with this we have learned about the Mahilwari system, Roy Quarry system, and this has Queen Anne's settlement, then these are settlements. Okay, these all were introduced by the Governor Generals under the British. So this was the question, what is that? What is indigo? Indigo is a plant which grows in tropical region and it was used by the manufacturers, cloth manufacturers to dye the cloth. Okay, it was in a high demand during the Britishers. Okay, during the colonization we can say. Next question, why Indigo Commission was set up? Yes, Britishers they have set up Indigo Commission. Why it was set up? What was their main aim? Let us see. It was set up to inquire about the entire system of indigo production and the plight of the riots in the year 1860. Means the condition of the farmers during 1860. So for this reason Indigo Commission was set up. Along with this, some are examples here. See here guys, this is quinquennial system which was introduced by Governor General Warren Hastings in the year 1772. Next is decennial settlement. It was introduced by Lord Cornwallis during 1793 when it was the Governor General of India. Next, and even this system is also known as permanent settlement of Bengal. Next, the Mahilwari settlement. It was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in the year 1822. The last system, that is Roy Quarry settlement or Roy Quarry system, we can say it is introduced by Thomas Munro during 1820. So these all can be asked for 1 mark. So now we will discuss about the 3 mark questions from this chapter. So let us move on to the 3 mark questions. Learned about the 1 mark questions. Now move to the 3 mark questions from this chapter, children. Yes, here is one example. So question number 1 is, what was the outcome of the British rebellion? Means what was the result of the Blue Rebellion, that is Indigo Rebellion. Okay, I repeat once again. What was the outcome of Blue Rebellion, that is Indigo Rebellion? Okay, so the rebellion prompted the government to bring the military to safeguard the planters. It was the first point for the answer, that is the Blue Rebellion. They prompted the government, they asked the government to bring the military to safeguard the indigo planters. Next, second point, Indigo Commission was set up to investigate further into the situation. We have discussed this in first 1 mark answer also. Yes, the Indigo Commission was set up to inquire about the production and to look after the situation of the riots, means indigo planters. Next, after the Blue Rebellion, indigo production in Bengal was totally collapsed and indigo planters were shifted to the Bihar. Okay, shifted to the base of Bihar. So these are the 3 points for this question. I'll read out some more questions for the 3 marks from this chapter. So let's move on to the second question for 3 marks. Give 2 problems which arose with the new Munro system of fixing revenue. Okay, so see here what are the problems. Under the new Munro system of fixing revenue, the revenue official fixed too high revenue demand. Means they have fixed revenue at a very high rate. This demand could not be met by the peasant. Means the peasants were not able to pay this revenue. Okay. Next was, consequently, the peasants fled to the countryside and village became deserted in many regions. So what happened due to this? The peasants, the farmers, they fled to the countryside and the village, they became like a desert. Okay, these were the two problems. Next, move on to one more question. That is, why were ryots reluctant to grow indigo? Okay, see here answer. The ryots were reluctant to grow indigo due to the following reasons. What are the reasons here? First point, I'll read out. They were paid very low prices for it. Means the indigo production, what they are planting, they get very less price for that. They found that they would never earn any profit from the indigo plantation. Third point, the farmers were insisted to grow indigo on the fertile part of the land by the planters, but they preferred growing rice on that soil, best soil. So this is because once indigo was cultivated, the fertility of soil will be decreased because the roots of the indigo will leave the dry soil. Okay. So after indigo in harvest, the land could not be used for sowing rice. So in this way, they were against the growing indigo. These reasons, what are that? First, they will get very less prices for it. Next, they will not get any profit, and after planting the indigo, the soil will loses its fertility. So these are the reasons why the ryots were reluctant to grow the indigo. Okay, so this is about 3 marks. One more question I will read out. What are the main features of ryotwari or ryot cultivation? Okay, so under this ryoty system, the planters forced the ryots or peasants to sign a contract. See here, under this system, that is ryoty system, the planters were forced to sign a contract. This, according to that, the village headman was also forced to sign an agreement on the behalf of the ryots. So on the behalf of the ryots means the peasants, the village headman, he has to sign a contract or an agreement, we can say. The peasants received a loan from the planters to cultivate their land. Means the farmers, they received a loan from the planters to cultivate the land. Due to this, peasants were forced to cultivate indigo in the 25% of their land, and the peasants received seeds and fluff for the cultivation from the planters. They had to cultivate the crop and harvest it, and the harvested indigo crop had to be given the planter. So these all were the conditions under the ryoty system. Okay, these are the main features of the ryotwari settlement, we can say. Next, one more question. See, give a brief account of the settlement introduced by Thomas Munro in southern India, we can say, or South India also. So, see here, Thomas Munro introduced the ryotwari settlement in Madras Presidency, which was extended to Bombay Presidency and Assam. This was the first point for the answer. I repeat once again. Thomas Munro introduced the ryotwari settlement in Madras Presidency. After that, it was extended to Bombay Presidency and Assam. In southern India or the South India, land actually belongs to the cultivators, means the ryots, the farmers, since generations. So he left that land settlement must be made directly with the ryots. So he felt like that land settlement, it should be made directly with the ryots, not between the village headmen, not like a agreement or contract, we can say. So the revenue to be paid by the cultivator depend upon the quality of the land and crop they produced. The land revenue was fixed at the 50% of rental for a maximum period of 30 years under the ryotwari settlement, which was introduced by Thomas Munro. So the ryots would be owner of the land as well as long as he pays the revenue, means for how many years they will pay the revenue to the Governor General or to the government, British government, they will be the landlord of the particular land for which they are paying the revenue. So these are all about the 3-mark questions. Next, we will learn about the 5-mark questions. Now move on to the 5-mark questions. I will read out the question, and as I said earlier, we have tried 5 points for the 5-mark question or 4-mark questions. If you are asked for 4 marks, we have tried 4 points for 4-mark questions. Okay, so see here guys, question is, how were the peasants affected by the agrarian policies of the British? Means how the farmers were affected by the agrarian policies which were introduced by British. What was their effect? Such as they had introduced the Melville system, Royal system, decennial system. Okay, what were their effects on the peasant, the farmers of our country? So see here answers. Here are the 5 points. The agrarian policies of the British had a disastrous impact on the India's economy. It has a very bad effect on our country's economy. Okay. So here are the effects, the result. First point, conflict of the classes. Yes, what do you mean conflict of the classes? Here, new social classes like the landlords, the money lenders, the traders, and the peasants came in the society. They emerged. They often came into conflict for their personal benefits. Means everyone want to extract the profit. Okay, so in this way the conflict was started between the classes. Which were the classes? Such as landlords, money lenders, the traders, and the peasants, the farmers in the society. Next is impoverishment of peasantry. So after the decline of the cottage industry due to the import of British manufacturer goods, more people turned to the agriculture. Then small piece of land produced less, and peasants were becoming poorer and poorer. So their condition was like they are becoming more poor due to the lack or decline of the cottage industry, we can say. Okay. Next point is disintegration of the village community. So in case of the non-payments of revenue, peasants were forced to leave their holdings, their lands, and go to the other places for work. So in this way, disintegration of the village community happened. Rural indebtedness. So what happened here? See, money lenders exploited the peasants. Their lands were taken by them in case of non-payment of the debts and interest. Means if the farmer is unable to pay the loan back to the money lender, then his land will be captured by that landlord. So in this way what happened? Rural indebtedness increased and the lands were taken by the money lenders in case of non-payment of the debts and the interest. Next, growth of the commercial crops. As Britishers, they gave more encouragement to grow the commercial crops. Okay. So see here, farmers started crops production according to the market. Their crops were bought by middlemen at the lower prices and earned huge profits. So in this way, growth of new commercial crops were gaining more importance in the market. So these are the 5 points which you have to write for the effect of the agrarian policies introduced by the British. I'll read out some other questions for 5 marks, such as second question is, discuss the merits and demerits of the permanent settlement of Bengal. Okay. So see here, first merits. Following the merits were assumed by permanent settlement of Bengal, that is decennial settlement. Okay. So this would ensure a fixed and permanent income for the state irrespective of the produce, whatever the production will be. Next, it would save the expenditure of the government of annual assessment on annual assessment. It would increase production of agriculture and make zamindar rich. So what happens here? It would increase the production of agriculture and even it will make the zamindar more rich. Land will become more fertile by the investment of zamindars. After the permanent revenue, British could focus on other activities of state like spread of education, etc. So these all are the merits of permanent settlement of Bengal. Next, demerits, we will learn about this. See here, the demerits of the permanent settlement were, it created feudalism at the top and serfdom at the bottom. It proved to be financial disaster for the company as it increased in production, could not raise share of revenue which was fixed. Means they have fixed share, this much they have to pay, 50% of their total production it should be paid as a revenue. So it will increase, it is proved that financial disaster for the company. and as increased production could not raise the share of the revenue which was fixed. State demands were so high that zamindars and the peasants suffered the most due to the system, that is decennial system. So these are the demerits. Okay. Here you have learnt about the merits and demerits of the permanent settlement, and along with this one more important question, that is the distinguish, or we can say the difference between the Mahilwari system and permanent settlement. So here you have to write 5 points for each column. 5 points about Mahilwari settlement and 5 points about the permanent settlement if it is asked. So please write the answer according to the marks. Before writing, mention the correct bit number and question number. Okay, then start answering. Write a neat handwriting, children, and best of luck for your exam.